This is www.westwindmanagement.com. It's our corporate website. Homeowners have a homeowner login button on the top right. They also could click homeowner resources and choose their community. It's also going to take them to their login page. So everyone will have been sent an email that has a login link. That login link is valid for 10 days or a single click. Clicking that login link would actually automatically log them into the site. Once they've logged into the site using that automatic link, they can then set their own password. So, if you forget your password, which I typed an incorrect password here, I can always reset that by typing in my own account number and then my email address, which is on file with the management company. Okay, so once I click send, it's going to say an email has been sent. I'm going to get an email that's going to have that link in it again. That link is only valid for 24 hours as opposed to the 10 days of the initial login link. So clicking that link again would log them directly into the site. So I'm going to go ahead and log in using my correct password. On the left-hand side of the screen, I'm going to have it update my password so it remembers the correct password. We have what's called the user panel on the left-hand side, and that's anything to the left of that divider, and the dashboard is on the right. It functions much like I click an application on the left, and it opens in a tab on the dashboard on the right. The first time I log in using that link, I'm going to want to go to my user profile page. I'm going to choose my name in this list. In this case, I'm Jesse. I'm going to click edit, actually password, sorry. And I can set my password directly from here. It's going to need to be at least 8 characters. It's going to have to contain an uppercase, a lowercase, a number, and one of these symbols here. It can't be any special character. It has to be one of these symbols. I type it into both boxes. I click change, and I'm going to get a password reset successfully. So anywhere there's an edit button, it edits the data in the beneath fields. So I can edit my cell phone number here by typing in a new number. I could also say it's my business or my alternate contact. I can edit, say, my tenant here, Oscar Meyer. Oscar Meyer.
The screen is really, really small. Is there
okay,
any way for you to increase?
Yeah, absolutely. I can zoom. Oh, interestingly enough, I didn't realize I was unzoomed there. Is that a little better? Should I go a little larger?
Yes, please, a little larger.
So if something kind of goes outside of the screen here, I'll zoom back out a little bit and then zoom back in. Again, this is for my user profile. I can edit my own names. I cannot add or remove people from this list, but I can edit my mailing addresses. I can change my email address. I can change my contact options. So if I don't want to be notified at all, I can click opt out. And I can uncheck all these notifications. I will not receive another email from Westwind Management Group for any of these items here. I'm going to cancel that. So it does show me what my settings are for each individual when I choose them. And obviously I can edit options about those contacts. So each of these is a contact record on my account. I've got a property management company. I've got 2, 3 owners, and I've got a resident at my unit. So going back to our user pane, we've got a logout button. You're going to want to log out every time that resets the connection to the server. If I just left this idle, it will idle after 10 or idle out after 10 minutes, but it doesn't always clear that from the server. And there are times you go to log back in and it tries to establish a connection to an old session and doesn't work very well. I'm going to click the help button so I can get an overview of what the site has to offer. So if I wanted to It's easy to search for anything, like let's just say compliance, because I'm trying to find how do I view my own compliance records, which obviously is right here, but if I had no idea, I can search it. There's other things like maybe um, let's see, architectural. I don't even need to complete the sentence, right? I'm just looking for some form of architectural, and it's going to tell me, here's my applications, architectural is here. These are the areas that match whatever words I put into the search. So the help panel is constantly being updated. I do find it to be a great resource. When I look at what I have for my user options here, there's two different tabs. One of them shows user options, and this is where I can choose my personal settings for the site. I can change my color. I can close tabs at logout. What that means is it will close all of the tabs I have on the dashboard as soon as I click the logout button. And whatever I choose here in this auto collapse are for these buttons. So these are groupings. So if I click a different grouping, it closes another grouping. That's all that auto collapse is. So I'm going to go ahead and go back to my default settings where auto collapse is on that, but I want to show you what happens when I don't have auto collapse. It just opens additional groups when I open them and closes them only when I close them. So those are your personal settings that you can change. For the public grouping, this is where the majority of your information and data lies and applications. I've got a couple of applications here under information. We've got notes. This is what we call bulletins within Westwind. They can contain note information and a document pertaining to that. So in this case, we've got a note with a picture, and it could be, any kind of document, a Word document, a published document, PDF. We do recommend PDFs as they are the most cross-browser independent. If we try and open up certain documents, some browsers open them well, some don't. We also have documents here. This is a subset of documents known as featured documents. So whatever your community decides is a featured document, most of the time it's going to be the governing documents and potentially an ACC form or other important information, right? So information tab is obviously important information. iExpert searches what we call, or well, what is known as frequently asked questions. So essentially, if I want to know about the pool, I click pool. Hopefully there's some questions answered here on pool, and I can view the answers. So if it has key, I've got how do I get a key for the pool, right? So we've got a Q&A. Is there a replacement pool key fee, right? No, in this case for our test community, there's not. And then we've got, if you had a tennis court, pools, clubhouse, all those kinds of things. This is where our keyword search is. So those are the basics of those two groupings. Like I said, the meat of the site is really underneath the public grouping, where I can view applications related to my account, my unit at Westwind or at Smoky Ridge on behalf of Westwind. So if I choose the first one, I'm going to get account detail. You'll see that it opens in the dashboard on the right, and almost everything we have is searchable. So if I want to know if I've got maybe a fine on my account, I search fine. I'm seeing on 12/14, I had a fine of $200. 12/8, I had a fine of $200. These notes here tell me, well, it was probably for an architecture, or not an architectural, but a compliance issue, given that there's a window AC or a basketball hoop. And maybe I ignored the notifications long enough, I got some fines. But if I just don't search anything, I'm able to sort and filter. So I can sort from or filter from certain dates to other dates, like between 1/31/2023 and 2/28. Looks like I've got no account history between those dates. I can cancel my filter, or I guess I'm gonna have to clear it out and then apply it. And now I see basically, and it's currently sorted by date. You'll also notice that there are pagination options. So once I get more than 15 records on a page, I'm gonna get the page icon, but I can also choose to display, say, 30 records on a page. Now I've only got the single page. Obviously, this is helpful for browsers of different sizes. If you're viewing this on a mobile site, it looks a little bit different in that it only shows this dashboard as opposed to the user panel and the dashboard. The user panel becomes a menu on a mobile device. So I'm going to go ahead and move on to the next application, which is account options. This is simply, I want to request either a coupon, or I want to request a welcome package, or I no longer want to receive paper coupons when they're sent out annually. I would just choose whatever option I'm looking for, hit save, and it's going to change those options. And on the back end, it notifies, the accounting department if they need to send me coupons or a welcome letter and those kinds of things. With account view, it's going to be several of these applications all in one view. As we've seen, when I open an application, it opens in the dashboard in a single tab. Account view opens a single tab with sub tabs, right? And some of those tabs are things that I could open a single tab for. So you'll see I open an architectural tab. It's just showing me architectural data. I can open up my account view tab. I'm getting account detail, which we viewed here. I'm getting architectural, which I could view in its own tab here, right? Compliance, user profile, which is also here and here, and then work order, which is also here. So there's just two different ways of viewing the same data. We'll go ahead and come across these tabs. We've already reviewed account detail, but architectural, you'll see pretty much everything is in record format. I can tell when I've selected a record by it changing color to orange. I can search those records for really any data in any one of these fields. Once I've selected a record, there is sometimes additional data that is underneath that record. So this resubmittal for an architectural, let me check the notes. Okay, I can see that on 8/5, I sent an application to the committee. On 8/5, it was received. So it probably should be ordered, received, and sent to committee. Sometimes in our test community, we have people doing, test records, and they can insert information incorrectly. But what you'll see then is when there's a document that's included on the record, it's going to have a link to the document. In this case, because it's a Word file, as I have talked about, we prefer PDFs because they can open in browser. Things like a Word document, the browser doesn't know how to open, so it just simply downloads that file. I can open the file and it will open in Word. It's downloaded to my downloads folder. Let's see if we can find one that may have a file that we can open just for a test. Let's go ahead and show closed and go back. So the thing with this show closed is any architectural record that is not currently open only shows when I hit the show closed button. And it looks like this account does not have any closed. Otherwise, we'd see more than just the 4 we're seeing here. Let's go ahead and see if this one may have. It doesn't have notes. As we go along, we'll find one with a PDF that we can view, but that's essentially it for architectural. Compliance, you're going to see a lot of the same types of views, right? Each of these can be filtered, they can be sorted, they can be searched. So let's see, this is compliance. Maybe I've got, basketball. Yep, there's my basketball. I've got it selected, it's orange. I want to view the notes on this particular violation. Wow, it looks like this has had a lot of letters sent or sequences processed. So this is what I was talking about. When I click the view button and there's a PDF attached, it opens in browser as opposed to opening in, say, Word as a separate application. and downloading that file elsewhere. These files can still be saved to your computer. They can still be printed using your normal browser buttons for saving and printing. Go ahead and close these tabs. With the compliance, there's one additional step I can take, and that's clicking a response button. So I've got a new compliance record. I want to respond to that. Hey, maybe this is my neighbor's goal. I'm going to go ahead and add a file here. I can click that. I can choose the file. Once I've chosen a file to add here, the upload button becomes active. I upload it and then I submit it. And I get the usual response, okay, you've successfully submitted a form. So we looked at the user profile tab already. Again, it has all the contact records for my unit. I can edit some of this data, but I cannot delete these users or these contacts. I can also choose my email options. And so can other contacts on my account. So as a side note, management companies and tenants do not have access to the website. They cannot view, account detail for, account history, those kinds of things. That is only for owners on units. So let's move on to the work order tab. There are more than just the notes tabs here, but again, we're given a grid view of records. All of these records are searchable. I can then select one of the records and I can get details on that record, right? So this work order is a work order to replace a pipe. Maybe there's some notes on that. On this date, it looks like the request was made. We put a note in, the vendor is going to repair this on XYZ date, or maybe it has been repaired, or maybe the vendor went out and wasn't able to contact the unit owner. For single family, this isn't exactly as pertinent, but if there is a common area maintenance item, say a light out, and that's something that the association maintains, then those items could be tied to that person's unit so that they get updates when that record is changed. So that work order is made updated, that light's replaced, they'll get a notification and they'll know the status of the work order that they had submitted, even though it's for a common area. So let's go ahead and close a couple of tabs. So what we've covered already is account detail, account options, which allows us to choose if I want a welcome letter or get, payment coupons. Account view views multiple of these at the same time. So we've viewed architectural, compliance, we viewed user profile and work order. Let's take a look at the calendar. It's pretty standard calendar. It looks a lot like an Outlook calendar. If there's an item on there, it would show up as visible. It looks like I may need to zoom out just a hair for this to get all the items on it. I'll go ahead and reopen the calendar. First, I guess I gotta close it. Okay, so you'll see that where it had view more, if the view is too compressed, you won't be able to see all items because it's trying to display too much data on one page. But this is what it looks like when there's an item on a page. You can change it to week view. Week view is a little bit easier, obviously, to display more data on a fewer set of days. I can choose any of the items that are on the calendar by double clicking it. It's going to give me additional details on this. And that's pretty much it. I can print the calendar. I can print it by a day view. I can print it with month view. Again, if I go back to month view and I don't see any of the data on it, it's because my screen size is just too small. Collapsing the user panel would help with that view, or changing to a different view. There are filters within the calendar. Geez, go ahead and get that open. By event type. So sometimes there might be meetings, there might be clubhouse rentals, depending on what is in your community. And those resources can be chosen here. So if it was, I just wanted to see certain types of meetings, I would be able to filter by that. There's also a timeline view. which is kind of like the work week, but it doesn't show the times of day in grid form. Okay, so coming back, we'll go to the documents application. What I'm seeing here is basically a hierarchy. I've got all of the publicly available documents, and by public, we don't mean public, we mean public to the homeowners. Now, there's going to be document areas, right? And by default, it shows them all, you know, uncollapsed. But if I collapse them, this is what I would see, right? I've got all my agendas under this area. This particular is a 2020-2021 annual meeting agenda. This is the date it was published. I want to view that. I click the view button. I'm going to see my PDF of that document. Again, for most communities that aren't test communities, there may be quite a bit of documentation here, newsletters, all kinds of other documents that are pertinent to your community. It's also a great reason to search. So I don't know, I don't want to dig through all of these. I search agenda, anything with agenda in it, including the heading, will pull up in that search. I can clear my search and go right back to it. We also talked about featured documents under this information grouping. I can view just featured documents from the main documents application. And what it's going to do here is only show me what I would also see under my featured documents under the information documents tab.
And if I may, we do have a
Absolutely.
standard set of documents that we feature for every client community. Jesse alluded to that. It is the governing documents of the community, architectural request forms or guidelines, and other documents that might be particular to your community and always deemed important. So there is a standard and is governing documents. And the most recently approved minutes and financials.
Awesome. So we have an additional application called property summary here. This would show your unit, your payment address, mailing information, a quick blurb about your community. And then this is where it duplicates our bulletins and featured documents. Again, those were also under the information tab. So property summary contains some information that's under the information grouping. There is another place to find your unit and payment address as well. That is this summary tab here. It's kind of a summary of your unit and contact information for the management company, including payment address if you wanted to mail a check. So we'll go back to our application tab. That was property summary. We've also got reports. Reports are kind of sparse for most communities. We can add to this area. So as we revise our reports and what data is available, these are updated real time. It's basically data in our database. So as a homeowner, I can pull a statement right now. I can put my period in here. By default, it's going to be the current month. So it produces it in PDF format. Obviously, we don't on our Westwind test community pull, do regular assessments and fines and payments on our accounts, but I would see all of those in this area here. It's essentially a formal version of my account detail in statement format. Community information is going to give me information such as my manager, the community administrator, in this case, my board. So it doesn't show email addresses for the board members. It just shows the names of those serving on the board and their position, if they have a position or if they're just a general member. So here's all of our management information. It would show this person is the assistant. That would be Jordan. This is updated as these things change in real time in our database. So we'll go ahead. We did go through user profile and work order. Account link is kind of a unique feature that is only for use if you have multiple accounts in either Smoky Ridge or another community that is managed by Westwind. So you may have, a rental home in another community. If so, if it's managed by Westwind and you have a Client Connect login, you can link it by clicking the login, well, by typing in your account number and password, and then clicking the link button. And then it links that account, and you would just click this login button and it would move you over to that account. It would look identical in terms of layout and feel, except it would be for that other unit that you own. Okay, so that's it for our standard applications. We did cover a summary tab. Again, it's your account number, your unit number, or address, owner data, basically account status. So like this is my current balance, my monthly fees, payment address, and management company. Well, in this case, it's association information. It has our address, which is obviously we're the management company. This would show an address within your community, like if there was a clubhouse or a place that your community had as its on record address. We have an ePay tab. There's nothing for us to view here on our test community. What you would see on your side would be you would have two options. One is an Alliance credit card payment, and one is an Alliance check payment. The reason we don't have that is obviously we don't have an account set up for our test community with Alliance. When you click either of those buttons, it does take you to Alliance Association Bank's website. From that place, it automatically enters your address, your account number, those kinds of things. Obviously, not the account number you're paying with, but your account number with Westwind, this one right here. So, we don't have any of your account data, like your personal account information. We don't store that. The reason why that ePay tab takes you to Alliance is because they would be the ones dealing with your banking information. They're a larger bank. They have a lot of resources to secure that data, and that's just not something that we feel comfortable having within our systems. This links button here, refresh that, takes us to web links. For your community, this will be updated based on resources that would be important to your community. For example, the real estate documents will be there. That's a standard link. We would also potentially have maybe police or fire resources, schools, or other resources that may be of importance to someone living in this community. Finally, we have forms. Now, our test community has a ton of forms. We put test forms on here. You'll see duplicates of the same kind of form here, but essentially the form is going to have a name, billing inquiry. It's going to have a memo or a description. In this case, the billing inquiry is contacting your accounting representative. It's initiated by clicking the email button. Again, I get a pop-up form. I'm going to input my account number here. I'm going to put in my phone number. Obviously, it's not required. Anything required would have a green star. And I'm going to put in a description. So if this is a billing inquiry, I might say, I sent a check on this date and it doesn't show on my account. Can you please research and get back to me? You click submit. Your accounting representative receives that email, can research, and then email you back. If you put a phone number in here and request that they call you back, then they would contact you via that method. That's pretty much obviously how most web forms work. There are multiple web forms you're going to have. There's always going to be an architectural request, a billing inquiry, a designated contact, which is required by Colorado law. We'll have general inquiry that goes to the community administrator. Because we have so many forms, it requires a second page. On this particular community, most do not. Usually there is a preferred language. That's again, Colorado law. Then we have tenant registration. If you wanted to change your tenant on your account because you can't edit that yourself, there's violation complaint. Maybe you see some weeds or something on in the neighborhood that you need to report, it can be done through this form. And then there's the work order request, again, for most communities that are single family. It's going to be for common areas, clubhouses, those types of things. That is our website, the Client Connect portal.